What if the reason your business isn't growing is because you stopped believing it could? Think about that for a second. Not just on the surface, deep down, beneath the daily to-do lists and the strategies and the endless content. Somewhere inside, have you started to doubt? Maybe not out loud, maybe not even consciously, but in those quiet moments when the noise dies down, does the thought creep in, maybe this just isn't going to work? That feeling, the one you don't talk about, is heavy. You show up, you put in the hours, you tweak the website, post on social, send the emails. You're doing what they say you're supposed to do, and yet the results don't match the effort. You try to stay positive, but it's getting harder. There's this quiet frustration that builds slowly, silently, like a knot in your chest that tightens every time you refresh your sales dashboard and see nothing again. You look around and see others winning, businesses popping off, people scaling faster, louder, bigger, and you start to wonder if they know something you don't, if maybe you missed the window, or maybe, just maybe, you're not cut out for this. That thought alone can break a person. But listen closely. That pain you're feeling, that tension, that sense that you're stuck while the world moves forward, it's not a signal to quit. It's not proof that you're failing. It's the beginning of your breakthrough, if you're willing to hear what it's trying to tell you. Because here's the truth most people never say out loud. Every business that looks unstoppable today was once crawling through this exact place, stuck, frustrated, exhausted, doubting everything. The difference? They didn't stop. Not because it was easy, not because they had more talent or better luck, but because they refused to let the silence kill the mission. You have a vision. That's why you started. Maybe it was freedom. Maybe it was legacy. Maybe it was proving to the world or to yourself that you could build something that matters. But somewhere along the way, the fire got dim, not gone, just dim. And now you're stuck in that strange place between trying and believing, doing the work, but not feeling the drive, hoping for growth, but not expecting it. That's the tension that keeps you up at night. Let's be real. This isn't about algorithms or ad spend. It's not because you haven't found the perfect niche or viral content formula. This is deeper. This is personal. Because when your business isn't growing, what's really happening is that something inside of you is being called to rise. And you're resisting it, maybe out of fear, maybe out of habit. But deep down, you know it's true. You didn't come this far to watch your dream flatline. And if you stay with this, if you truly listen to what's underneath the silence, you'll realize the best version of you is being forged in this exact moment. Right now, while it feels like nothing is happening, everything is. Your resilience is growing. Your focus is sharpening. Your purpose is being tested, not to break you, but to prepare you. Because there's something powerful waiting on the other side of this stuck season. And no, it's not just more sales or more followers or some shiny number on a screen. It's something far more valuable. It's you, fully awake to your own potential. A version of you who doesn't flinch at obstacles, who doesn't second guess, who doesn't play small. But to become that version, you have to stop pretending this is just a bad week or a slow month. You have to look the truth in the eye and admit you're not here to survive. You're here to build. You're here to lead. You're here to grow. And growth never feels comfortable. So don't numb the frustration. Don't drown it in distraction or fake motivation. Sit with it. Let it burn. And then use that fire. Let it remind you why you started. Let it call you back to the kind of hunger you had before things got complicated, before the fear crept in, before the pressure made you forget just how powerful you really are. If you're still here, if you're still listening, then something in you knows this moment isn't the end. It's the edge of a new chapter, a different gear, a deeper commitment. So the next time you look at your business and feel stuck, remember this: you're not broken. You're being rebuilt, not weaker, stronger, not smaller, wiser. And that fire that got you started, it's not gone. It's just waiting for you to wake it back up. You want the reward? You want the growth? Stay with the fire. Stay with the tension. On the other side of it is the version of you who doesn't wonder if it's possible. They know it is, and they're already becoming the kind of person who makes it happen. So now that the fire's been reawakened, here comes the truth that separates those who rise from those who stay stuck. Your business is not the problem. It never was. Read that again. It's easy to point outward, to blame the algorithm, the market, the competition, the economy, the lack of time, of resources, of connections. But deep down, you already know none of those things are stopping you. What's really holding everything back is what you still believe about yourself. Because a business doesn't grow faster than its builder. It doesn't rise beyond the mindset of the person behind it. You can change the branding. You can rewrite your offer 100 times. But if you're still operating from fear, from hesitation, from self-doubt, you'll just recreate the same limits in a different form. This is the hidden truth no one talks about. Not because it's a secret, but because it's uncomfortable. It's easier to sell strategies than to face your own reflection. But the moment you do, everything begins to shift. Look around at any thriving business and you'll find a leader who chose to grow beyond what felt safe. Not smarter, not more talented, just willing to outgrow the version of themselves that kept making excuses, that kept playing it small, that kept waiting for perfect conditions to begin. You can't rise by clinging to comfort. And yet, that's what most people do. They cling to what they know, to familiar routines, familiar habits, familiar limits, even when it's painful, even when it's not working. Why? Because change costs something. It demands something. It forces you to confront the lies you've been telling yourself, like, I'm not ready, it's too late, I'm not good enough, what if I fail? But here's something to remember. Fear doesn't mean stop. Fear means pay attention. Fear means you're standing at the edge of something meaningful. And that edge, that's where most people turn back. But you're not most people. You didn't come here for average, you came here for impact, for freedom, for growth that means something. So you have to get brutally honest with yourself. Are you showing up like the person your future demands? Or are you still waiting to feel ready, to feel confident, to be guaranteed success before you take the leap? Let this hit hard. You don't grow by feeling ready. You grow by deciding you're done playing small. Decisions shape destiny, not dreams, not plans, decisions. And the most powerful decision you can make right now is this. I will no longer be the bottleneck in my own growth. No more playing it safe. No more half effort. No more trying while secretly holding back. Because here's what you need to understand. Your business is begging you to evolve. It's screaming for you to step up, not just in strategy, in identity, in energy, in clarity, in belief. Because when you rise, everything else follows. You don't need to do 100 more things. You need to become the kind of person who executes with power and purpose. The kind of person who shows up whether it's easy or hard, who takes action before motivation shows up, who trusts the process because they've decided they will not lose. This is about rewiring the way you think, because the stories you tell yourself become the limits you live in. Tell yourself you're stuck and you'll find 1,000 reasons why that's true. Tell yourself you're evolving and you'll start to see opportunity where others see walls. Every next level of your business is locked behind a version of you that you haven't become yet. And the key is buried in your discipline, your focus, your willingness to confront the truth, and your refusal to give up when things don't move as fast as you want. You're not stuck because your business is broken. You're stuck because your belief system has hit a wall, and walls aren't permanent. They're invitations. They say, this is where you dig deeper. This is where you stretch. This is where you become something more. So the question becomes, are you going to stop at the wall, or are you going to break through it? Because if you choose to rise, really rise, it won't just change your business, it'll change you. And that change, that's the growth that never fades. That's the part no one can take away. That's where real confidence is born, not from what you achieve, but from who you become in the pursuit. If something inside you is whispering that it's time for more, listen. That voice is your future calling. And it's not asking you to wait, it's asking you to become. So step forward, not because you have the perfect plan, but because you're done being ruled by hesitation. The moment you choose growth over fear, everything begins to move. Not all at once, but faster than you think. And soon, the same business that felt stuck will become the proof of your transformation. Not because the market changed, but because you did. If you're still breathing, you're still building. And if you're still building, the story isn't over. It's just beginning. The story isn't over. But it will be if you keep waiting for it to get easier. Growth doesn't come wrapped in clarity. It comes wrapped in resistance, in pressure, in those days when you want to quit but don't. That's where the real transformation happens. Not in the outcome, but in the grind that nobody sees. The quiet hours, the lonely decisions, the inner battles that test whether you're serious or just interested. And here's the part most people never understand. You don't grow your business by fixing your business. You grow it by winning those battles inside yourself. Every time you choose discipline over distraction, you win. Every time you silence the voice that says not today, you win. Every time you show up, even when the motivation is gone, you win. Because this isn't about doing more. This is about becoming more. That's the difference between growth and noise. Noise is busy, growth is intentional. And when your actions align with the identity of someone who refuses to be average, the game changes. Not slowly, immediately. You've been looking for the next breakthrough, but maybe what you need isn't more information. Maybe what you need is alignment. That raw, real kind of alignment where your habits match your ambition, where your choices reflect your hunger, where your standards rise to meet your goals. Because goals without standards are just wishes. You can dream about success. You can talk about it. But until your standards change, nothing else will. You get what you tolerate. If you tolerate inconsistency, distraction, procrastination, you'll keep spinning in circles, calling it effort. But when you raise your standards to match the life and business you say you want, the world moves out of your way. Not because it owes you, but because you finally become the kind of person who demands results through action, not entitlement. You don't need more time. You need more intention. You don't need more hacks. You need more hunger. And that hunger, it doesn't come from a book or a course. It comes from within. It comes from the part of you that's tired of living at half capacity, tired of watching others live a life you know you're capable of, tired of settling for the version of yourself that plays small just to feel safe. You weren't built for safety. You were built for growth. And growth demands risk. It demands action before certainty, faith before results. It demands that you act like the person you're trying to become before the evidence shows up. That's how the shift happens. You stop waiting for validation. You stop waiting for signs. You stop needing permission, and you start moving like it's already yours. If you had already built the business you dream of, how would you carry yourself today? Would you complain about lack of time, or would you create time? Would you keep hesitating on decisions, or would you execute with clarity? Would you keep looking for shortcuts, or would you do the hard, unsexy work with discipline and fire? You already know the answer, because that version of you, the one who leads, who builds, who thrives, they're not out there. They're already inside you, waiting, watching, wanting to be let out. But they can't show up if you keep showing up as the version of you that's driven by fear. Fear of failure, fear of judgment, fear of success. Yes, success. Because let's be honest, some people fear what happens if it actually works, what will change, who they'll need to become, what they'll need to let go of. But growth always costs something, and the price is comfort. If you're not willing to let go of who you were, you'll never step into who you're meant to be. So decide now, before anything changes on the outside, that the change already happened on the inside. Decide that from this moment forward, you will carry yourself like someone who's already built it, already earned it, already owns it, not to fake it, to become it, because the fastest way to change your life is to change your identity, not someday, now. When your actions match your future instead of your past, momentum hits like a wave, and suddenly, the things that used to feel impossible become your new normal. Don't underestimate what happens when you fully commit, when you burn the backup plan, when you stop hoping for growth and start demanding it from yourself every single day. Your business isn't stuck. It's waiting for you to become the version of you who no longer needs to be pushed, who no longer needs motivation to act, who moves with purpose, clarity, and belief every day, no matter what. This is who you've been fighting to become. Not someone new, just the real you, the one who's always been there, buried under the fear, the noise, the self-doubt. But not anymore. Now it's time to rise. You don't need a new strategy. You need a new standard. The next level of your business isn't hiding in some secret formula. It's hidden in the way you show up when no one is watching, in the way you respond when nothing's working, in the way you carry yourself when every voice in your head says it's time to stop. That's the test. That's where leaders are made and empires are built. Not when it's easy, but when it's hard and you move anyway. Most people quit because they think the silence means failure. But silence is where the real work begins. It's where you find out what you're made of. It's where you separate those who want success from those who are willing to earn it. The world rewards the ones who stay in motion, especially when they have every reason to stop. You can't wait to feel ready. You can't wait for permission. You can't keep living in this version of yourself that plays to survive instead of playing to win. And yes, that shift is uncomfortable because it means letting go of habits that numb you, letting go of people who don't get it, letting go of a mindset that was built around fear and control. But letting go is how you make room for growth, room for results, room for the version of you who doesn't shrink when the pressure hits, but expands, who doesn't avoid hard decisions, but leads through them, who doesn't chase validation, but builds value. You've been taught to chase certainty, but in business, certainty is a myth. If you're waiting for all the lights to turn green before you move, you'll stay stuck forever. Growth doesn't come from certainty. It comes from commitment. The kind that says, I don't know how it's all going to work, but I'm all in anyway. That's where power begins. When you move because your vision demands it. When you execute because your future requires it. That's the kind of energy that shifts momentum. That's the kind of focus that multiplies results. Not because things suddenly got easier, but because you stopped negotiating with your own potential. Stop asking if you're qualified. Start acting like someone who builds, learns, adjusts, and keeps moving. Nobody at the top had it all figured out when they started. They just decided to stop sitting in self-doubt and start walking forward, even with uncertainty on their back. Because you don't earn confidence by thinking about it. You earn it by doing. Confidence is the byproduct of consistency. The more you show up, the more you prove to yourself that you're capable. And when you begin to believe that at your core, your business will reflect it in ways you can't even imagine. It's time to make a choice, not a casual one, a conviction level choice. Are you going to keep repeating the same patterns, hoping for new results, or are you going to raise the bar on yourself and demand more? Not from the world, but from within, because that's where the shift happens. When your goals stop being a wish list and start becoming a standard. When you stop entertaining the thought of quitting. When you stop needing inspiration and start moving from intention. You don't need hype, you need hunger. That deep, unshakable kind of hunger that doesn't back down, that doesn't care how slow it feels, as long as there's progress. That keeps showing up not because of what's happening outside, but because of who you've decided to be. That kind of hunger changes everything. It makes you sharper. It makes you relentless. It makes you dangerous to the version of you that's been holding back. Because once you lock into that state where your identity matches your ambition, everything starts to align. And suddenly, the excuses that used to control you, gone. The distractions that used to slow you down, cut off. The fear that used to whisper, what if you fail? Replaced with a louder voice that says, what if you win? That voice is yours. It always has been. But you've got to feed it. You've got to choose it every single day. Not when it's convenient, not when you feel good, every day. Your future isn't built on intensity. It's built on integrity, on doing what you said you'd do long after the mood you set it in is gone, on showing up when no one claps, on trusting the process when no one's watching. That's how you earn growth, not just in business, but in life. Because how you do one thing is how you do everything. And when you start showing up in your business with the same focus, discipline, and ownership you'd show up with if everything was already working, you start to become the person who makes it work. This is your time, not because everything is perfect, but because you're finally done waiting. You're finally done shrinking. You're finally done settling for almost. You are not here to try. You are here to build. So build like you've already decided it's yours. If you've already decided it's yours, then it's time to act like it. Not tomorrow, not when the stars align. Now, this moment, because the gap between where you are and where you want to be isn't time. It's action. Relentless, focused, intentional action that aligns with the identity of the person who already has what you're chasing. You don't wait for results to show up before you move like a leader. You move like a leader first. You don't wait to feel successful before you make powerful decisions. You decide, and that decision creates the momentum you've been missing. So many people get stuck because they think they need motivation to move. But the truth is, motivation is a side effect of motion. You don't get inspired by thinking about taking action. You get inspired when you take action, when you do the work, when you lean to the discomfort, when you prove to yourself that you're not here to coast, you're here to conquer. You already know what needs to be done. The problem isn't clarity, the problem is hesitation, and hesitation is the killer of momentum. It's the quiet voice that says, maybe later. It's the illusion of patience masking the fear of failure. But waiting is just another form of resistance. And resistance is the language of the part of you that wants to stay the same. You cannot evolve and stay comfortable. That's the rule. That's the price. The next level of your life, your business, your impact, it doesn't ask for your comfort. It demands your full commitment, even when it's uncomfortable, especially when it's uncomfortable. You want more? Then you have to become more. Not in theory, in practice, in discipline, in execution, in the way you think, speak, and act every single day. Because what you do consistently is who you become permanently. If you keep operating from a place of fear, you'll keep creating results that reflect hesitation. But if you begin operating from the belief that everything you need is already inside you, the energy changes. The way you walk changes. The way you lead, speak, build, and move, it all shifts. Success doesn't respond to need. It responds to identity. The world doesn't give you what you ask for. It gives you what you believe you are worthy of. And worth is proven through action, not wishes. Through ownership, not excuses. Through intensity that's backed by integrity. If your business isn't growing, it's not because growth isn't possible. It's because somewhere along the line, you stopped moving like it was inevitable. You started tiptoeing. You started questioning. You started hiding behind logic when what you needed was conviction. You have to bring that conviction back. You have to remind yourself who you are and what you're building and why it matters. Because if you forget the why, the how will always feel too heavy. But when your why burns bright enough, the obstacles lose their power. This isn't just about scaling a business. This is about becoming someone who is undeniable. Someone whose energy demands attention. Someone who doesn't chase opportunity because they are the opportunity. That's the level you need to live at. That's the identity that makes average impossible. And no, you don't get there by chance. You get there by choice, by choosing to lead yourself even when no one is clapping, by choosing discipline when no one is watching, by choosing effort when your mind screams for ease, and by choosing vision when reality is still catching up. This is about showing up for your future like it already exists. Not just hoping it'll happen, but moving like it already has. That's not delusion, that's leadership. That's what separates people who talk from people who build legacies, because legacy isn't made in a moment, it's forged in repetition. In the days you don't feel like it, in the moments where most people back down and you rise up, that's when you become unshakable. That's when momentum bends in your direction. You don't have to have it all figured out. You just have to stop backing down. Stop waiting for approval. Stop measuring your potential by your past. Your past didn't know what you're capable of. Your past was built on survival. This moment is built on intention. So breathe, reset, decide not to try harder, but to operate differently. Like someone who knows their value, like someone who builds with fire, like someone who's no longer available for mediocrity in any area of life. Because when that level of energy meets consistency, everything around you starts to shift. People notice. Results compound. The vision that once felt far becomes something you wake up to every single day. This is the standard now. This is who you are now. This is what the next chapter demands and what the old version of you could never carry. And if you ever doubt it, look at how far you've already come. Not in outcomes, but in strength. You've survived things that were meant to break you. You've kept going when quitting would have been easier. You've earned the right to rise, not someday, but now. So rise, and don't look back, because looking back is where hesitation lives. It's where doubt lingers. It's where your old patterns wait, hoping you'll shrink back into the version of you that settles for good enough. But you didn't come this far for good enough. You came for greatness. And greatness doesn't happen by chance. It happens when you refuse to accept less. First from yourself, then from everything around you. You weren't built to blend in. You weren't made to play small. That's why mediocrity feels so suffocating. That's why staying stagnant hurts more than failure ever could. Deep down, you know you're meant for more. That tension in your chest, that's not frustration. That's untapped potential, screaming to be unleashed. The moment you accept that you're the one in control, everything changes. The results, they're reflections. They're mirrors, not mysteries. Your output, your focus, your habits, your mindset, they echo back in your business, in your growth, in your income, in your impact. You want to change the reflection? Change the source. No more blaming the market. No more blaming timing. No more waiting for the algorithm to save you or the world to recognize you or someone else to validate your dream. The business you're building isn't a lottery ticket. It's a mirror of your leadership. And if it's not growing, that doesn't mean it's broken. It means it's asking for you to rise higher, deeper, stronger. There's a version of you who doesn't flinch when things get hard, who doesn't check metrics to decide their worth, who doesn't operate from emotion, but from decision. That version is already inside you, not buried, just waiting. Waiting for you to stop making room for excuses, waiting for you to stop giving energy to distractions, waiting for you to finally go all in. So go all in. Go all in when it's boring. Go all in when it's chaotic. Go all in when the results are slow, when the momentum feels invisible, when nobody claps. Because going all in isn't about outcomes. It's about ownership. It's about being so clear on who you are and what you're building that quitting becomes unthinkable. That's how you move differently. That's how you stop chasing motivation and start living from mission. People with a mission don't get derailed by doubt. They don't fold under pressure. They don't wait for signs. They become the sign. Their energy enters the room before they do, and their consistency echoes long after they leave. You are not here to chase success. You are here to embody it. Not success as a number, but success as a way of being. Because when your identity becomes the foundation, the results become inevitable. They can't not happen. The universe always catches up to the person who walks in alignment with what they say they want. So check your alignment. Are your daily actions aligned with the future you say you crave? Or are you still negotiating with your old self every time it gets hard? You don't get to have the vision and the comfort at the same time. You have